see it. So this is the paper that was identified. This is the paper that we were just discussing in terms of the title preparation. So the idea here, as we were discussing during our previous lecture, is to basically use the same method and to apply it to COVID-19 particle detections, hoping that this will work beautifully. So I'm going to follow the strategy or the skeleton or the outline for how the project summary should be written. So this is pasted here, and I will be typing it together with you, trying to give you an idea of how you can draft something in approximately 20 or 30 minutes. And of course, I did some preparatory work, but usually by the time you're writing your project summary or an abstract, you already know what your project is going to be about. You thought about this project, you kind of already have the specific aims, and what you're trying to do here, you're trying to put it all on paper. Again, my goal here for today is really to write a very rough draft and hopefully to give you an idea of how this happens. So the first important point that we're going to be addressing here is we will be, again, following this outline, and that's exactly what I suggest you do with your abstract too, is a topic sentence of the larger field of the research field. So kind of the preparation here that I'm trying to put together is fast and this is really annoying, this is not fast. Type in fast and robust diagnosis of, when it worked, of COVID-19 is important because screening allows mitigating the spread of the infection in the absence of the vaccine. So what I'm trying to do here, again, I'm sorry about the typos. My keyboard is not playing ball. In the absence of the vaccine. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to set the stage and give the reader the initial view of the problem that we will be discussing. In my next sentence, I will try to kind of define the problem, or I'll try to set the stage for the gap in the field. And the real problem with the detection techniques is PCR technique is really slow. So we'll say it. So PCR, PCR based diagnosis PCR-based diagnosis is time-consuming because biological material needs to be replicated. So this poses the problem that the current field currently has, and the next sentence that I'm going to write is I'm going to write something like this: faster and faster diagnostic methods. Faster diagnostic methods are desperately needed. So this is my rationale why we need something like this method to be able to use nanoparticles, magnetic resonance nanoparticles, to be able to perform the detection. So the next thing that that I need to be drafting here is a clear we just covered the gap in field, and the next part is information about the goals of the approach and significant outcomes. So here I will jump back to this outline. Excuse me. believe that's the one, right? So here I will again follow this skeleton of the application, and I will say, and here I will try to set our long-term goal. So what is our long-term goal? Actually, never mind that. Our long-term goal is to develop a new magnetic particle based rapid detection technique for COVID-19, or maybe for coronavirus infections, including...
Right, because there's no reason why we can't use this for any virus, really, if we could start seeing it used clinically, right? So the long-term goal could actually be beyond COVID if we wanted it to.
Exactly.
Cool.
So, so this is our long-term goal phrase here, and I will try to highlight it because what I really like to do, I'd really like to follow the skeleton because I believe this is a really nice way of doing things. Oops.
And just remember, the long-term goal is like something that would happen after your proposal, right? So if this proposal is about COVID-19, the long-term goal would be to apply it beyond COVID-19. So when you're writing your proposal, think about the long-term, maybe 10-year plan for that idea.
Right. So this is not necessarily something that you would be able to achieve within the scope of this grant application. So my next point here is to specify what our objective for this grant will be. Our objective of this grant. So as you see, I'm kind of using that bare bone to draft my own text here of this grant will be. So here we need to give it a bit of a thought. So so I suspect what we will be doing here, we will be developing the technology of particle tagging and potentially validating it in biological specimens. So that's what we need to articulate here. So our objective for this grant will be development of targeted functionalized magnetic, or I should say paramagnetic, because these particles are paramagnetic nanoparticles capable of selective binding and detection of coronaviruses. Actually, here we're actually doing COVID-19, so of COVID-19. Our objective for this grant will be development of targeted functionalized paramagnetic nanoparticles capable of selective binding and detection of COVID-19 using relaxation of using NMR relaxation, using their relaxation properties. Properties in a bench top NMR spectrometer that can be potentially deployed as a point of care device. So what I'm trying to kind of do here is to really excite the reviewer, the potential reviewer, that this is something that can be potentially deployed to the clinic, hopefully within the scope of, hopefully within the specific aims of this application. So our objective here, I would really like to highlight that. And again, feel free to chime in. I might not be able to see your comments now, but I'm sure Mary Kay will give me a heads up.
Yeah, if you guys have suggestions on the different experiments you would want to do, or the something Ed could put in right now is that this idea was based on prior work with magnetic nanoparticles, so that can show that there's feasibility with this idea. But he could also go on and just talk about the aims, right?
Right, and maybe we can actually put the information that Mary Kay is just voicing in the central hypothesis. So the central hypothesis of this proposal builds on the vast body of previous work in the field of nanomedicine, for or of using functionalized functionalized nanocarriers.
And I think I want you to notice how Ed is writing here. He's struggling a little bit to find the right words, but that's okay, because what he would do if this was going to be a proposal he would bring forward is rewrite this about 20 no more times. I noticed, did you guys notice that objective sentence? Do you see how long that guy is? So probably when he goes back to rewrite it, he would probably shorten that, or maybe make it into 2 sentences if you can't get rid of any. So, but the point is, don't be critical of yourself as you're writing the first draft. Just get it on paper and then fix it later. Because
getting the first draft on paper is the most difficult thing to do. So I always emphasize that to students. It doesn't matter that, I'm going to return your draft being like completely read. You've done the most important part. You put it on paper. Criticizing is always like 10 or 100 times easier than making the first draft.
Yeah, just get it on paper, folks. Don't be critical of it. Just get something down that you feel, that has your ideas on it. Ed, maybe should we, it's 6:32. Well, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to continue with this exercise? Are you finding it useful? Should we talk about aims? Or would you guys like to go into your breakout sessions and start talking about your own proposals? Why don't, okay, so how about this? Let's do a raise of hands. That seemed to work before. So go into the participants area, click on participants at the bottom of your screen. And if you would like for us to take another, let's say 5 minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes to go through some aims for this proposal, why don't you raise your hand right now? If you would prefer to go into the breakout sessions, please leave your hand down.
Well, I'm gonna keep on going.
Yeah, why don't you keep on going while I take this survey?
Exactly. So our rationale, so the next step is to define our rationale, or why
keep raising your hands if you want him to keep going.
Or why we believe this project is going to work, or why this is a viable tool. Our rationale is the use of tagging, our rationale is the use of functionalized magnetic nanoparticles that will reveal the presence of viral material through the change in relaxation properties of water. So that's our rationale. So how is our poll?
Right, so it's kind of evenly split, actually. Slightly more have their hands down. So maybe this is what we can do. Let's split the difference. And why don't we finish? You and I can finish this abstract, and we'll post it on the website so you guys can see sort of what we did. And then why don't you guys go into your breakout sessions now? And if you found this useful and kind of want to see what Ed's going to do to finish up with the aims. We'll post it online on the, just on today's module in Canvas. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds perfect. So
okay, so we'll finish this up. Why don't we'll end there. So just a reminder, we will not be meeting next Monday because it's the Memorial Day holiday. So Monday have off. We will meet next time a week from today on Thursday. I believe it's May 28th. And at that time, you will be submitting your title and your abstract for your favorite idea. And let me just say, I know that many of you maybe are still thinking about your favorite idea. You've got a week. So if you decide to change your favorite idea, it's no problem. We're at the very, very, very beginning of this process. So feel free to kind of continue to vet ideas and come up with something that you are happy with. And remember, that abstract you turn in next Thursday does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be written and rewritten and rewritten. We just want a first draft so we can see what you have in mind. Okay? Okay, well, good luck this week with your drafts. Let us know if you have any questions. We're happy to answer by email, and have great breakout sessions. So we'll maybe see you in the breakout session. If not, we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I'm going back to the shared screen. So I hope it made it relatively clear to the audience that, one really needs to struggle to get this stuff on paper.
Yeah, there is no doubt about that. This is not easy stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, I would, so write a few things about the aims and then a significant statement, and I think we're done. It doesn't have to be long. I think it just gives them a bare bones of what it looks like, but that was great. I think it really shows them that you could write this pretty quickly if you just know what you want to say.
Right, and I think I would actually prefer to leave the rough draft.
Leave the rough draft,
just for them to see that this is like unpolished. Do they have to turn it? Yeah. Do they have to turn in the polished? Yeah, they have to turn in the final version. So at some point, I suggest that I or you will write a more.
We can revise it and make it into our
Yeah, they can see how this thing has progressed from the original point to the final point. So
I think it just makes it look accessible. I think they can see that writing this is not rocket science. It's just getting something down that shows the idea and how it would be developed. So that's great.
Yeah. So what are our aims? I suspect our aim is to develop these functionalization. Aim 2 is to try to do the feasibility in vitro, and aim 3 is the testing in biological materials.
Yeah, I think that would be fine. I guess if I'd like to suggest that maybe we keep it to 2 aims, because I think we want them to consider doing 2 aims. So why don't we, but I do like your idea. So maybe the first aim could be the development of the particles and maybe initial relaxometer testing, right? And then we would just go, and then the second would be kind of specimen testing, whatever that looks like. And, for this abstract, we don't have to go into too much detail, but basically just say developing the nanoparticles, and then, quantification of relaxation properties, right? And then the second one would just be, we can keep it vague. It would be testing with biological samples or something like that.
Well, aim 2, testing of the developed nanomaterials in in vitro using laboratory samples of COVID-19 to test the feasibility, detection limit, and to establish. I'm not typing well when I'm typing fast.
Of course not. I mean, like if I do like a undo and I see all the typos I've made as I've written, I mean, it's pathetic. It's terrible.
To establish. And then in vivo, not in vivo, no, and then
I'd say just like
also
biological specimens or something
exactly,
like that.
biological specimen.
Because I mean, I really don't think they want to, I'm not sure I want anybody in this class to be proposing to use, like human subjects or something. So I would try to keep it pretty simple.
Correct. And I think we can actually pull it off that we don't actually have to see the subject. I mean, one way to develop this technique is to, and this is something that we could be discussing in the context of this class, is to kind of like use this point of care device that you kind of ship to a hospital, bring the person who's going to be using this device to your lab, teach them how to use it, and then give them these nanoparticles, train them on how to use these materials, and basically get the data samples this way without having your lab being exposed to COVID.
Yeah, right. Just have a collaborator.
Yeah. Right. So have a collaborator, I don't know, like Henry Ford or somebody else who would be very interested in this. Include them in the budget for the nurses and stuff.
But I would say, Ed, we shouldn't even go that far. I would say have them develop the nanoparticle and show it the properties are good, and then have them test it on a few samples of something that they can, like something that we can get from the biospecimens lab. And I would say leave it. And then, you can put in here, maybe for our specific aims, future directions would be, but here I would just say, this, I would end with some kind of significant statement, just saying that this simple device, this simple point of care device or something will enable rapid detection for, for any, I don't know, it's just something good.
Is the point because this new point of care technology, nanotechnology, deployed, which can be deployed, using commercially available.
Yeah, good.
Bench top NMR spectrometers. Enable fast and high throughput. By fast, I don't know, 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
The throughput, I guess we could do, I don't know, 1 sample per minute. I mean, the NMR itself is really fast.
Well, but if it's a 10-minute sample, can't we do 1 sample every 10 minutes? Or you would have multiple samples in the detector at the same time? Is that
you could have easily multiple samples. I mean, no, you don't have to have multiple samples in the detector. You can have multiple samples laid down on your like array of the NMR tubes, and then you just din each one. These devices exist with, I mean, it's ridiculous. This technology expanded to the point that there are like auto-samplers. So you can just stick them in and it will actually run everything.
So how many could you do in 10 minutes?
10.
Yeah, so put that.
Oh, 10, okay. Oh,
10 samples in 10 minutes. Or well, I guess 1 sample per minute is about the same thing, right?
Right, but I think it's important to emphasize the throughput, 60 samples per hour. How about that?
Yeah.
Because that's what everyone is going to be carrying. So yeah, that's a relatively high throughput. Does that capture the spirit?
Yep, I think that's a good start. I mean, I don't think it has to be perfect. I don't know, if it was me writing this, I think what we'll do to improve it is I get rid of all these numbers at the last sentence. We would put something that would be a little bit more big picture, but let's leave it like this for now, because I think that gives us something to improve later.
Sure, they propose, well, hold on a second. We actually should be putting it here, broad picture, because we do have space, because that's what's happening. So,
yeah, so I always like to end with like a big picture statement that's not very technical. It's just something I could tell my parents, you know, so, you know.
Sure.
So we maybe emphasize that this would be appropriate for lots of different viruses, or maybe like a general, right? Maybe that would be the good end.
Of this technology would be applicable to many existing and emerging viruses and would save countless human lives.
There you go. There's nothing more powerful than that, Ed.
And improve the standard and significantly.
Maybe this, yeah, the standard of care. No,
standard of care. No, that's
yeah, okay.
The standard of care, and would improve would enable our society with new tool to respond to life, to deadly infectious diseases. Maybe it's going to go to the infectious, to the Institute of the Infectious Diseases.
Definitely, yeah, probably. Ha! We're writing it as if we actually are going to do this. It's actually a cool idea, I have to admit.
Totally can be done. I mean, we've got documentation, that's for sure.
So you'll just post that as like the COVID-19 detection abstract or something like that. Or why don't you give it a title? Why don't you pick one of our titles here?
Sure.
Give it a title. Put it at top, one of the titles that the students came up with. Let me see. What did they come up with?
Yeah, let's, we don't have to put just one. We can put all of them. Actually, no, I agree. Let's actually come up with one good title out of the pool of titles, yes.
So self-assembling, here, I can share that. Well, I'm not sure. Actually, I'm not a host right now. I can't share it.
You can just type it and then I'll copy paste it.
Okay, well, which one do I like well, they're actually in the chat right now. Just go to the chat.
Yeah.
All of them are in the chat. So I guess let's look at the ones they came up with. Self-assembling magnetic nanotechnology for viral detection, magnetic nanoparticle detection for COVID-19, from nanoparticle self-assembly to effective COVID-19 detection. Maybe just go with magnetic nanoparticle detection of COVID-19.
I'm thinking about the same title.
Okay, good. So just put that one at the top, and we will have, we certainly can't expect the students to be that quick, but at least they see that it's
sure. But yeah, they should see how much time it takes. This way they don't turn in something which is like not very thought through. So we have two things to cover here. So we need to cover the innovation and then we're done.
Oh, right. We didn't put the innovation. All right. Well, you and I aren't going to be able to go to the breakout sessions. Is that okay?
I believe we still can do it. Let's just quickly finish it off and we'll
Okay.
be done.
Then we can post it. Yeah, later. Okay.
Yeah. Oops. So what is the innovation of this proposal?
Maybe say, you know, this is this viral detection method is an, you know, a nanoparticle detection of COVID-19 is an innovative use of nanomedicine and high throughput MRI detection or something like that.
Magnetic detection of viral.
But you're right, we should put something in there because they may take this literally and start thinking about what they want to put in there. We want to make sure we have all of our components.
Yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise they'll really, I mean, I know some people in our class who will do exactly the same because I've seen it. because you said so.
I don't know. I kind of like this format. I think maybe the next time we teach it, we should similarly come up with a class proposal.
I think so.
I kind of like it. I mean, I don't know what will be our emphasis next time, but COVID-19 certainly made sense to me this time, which is why I picked this virus paper. But maybe next time we can branch out to something. I think this is very nice cross-disciplinary. It incorporates a lot of students' interests. So anyway. So then
it targets the nanostructure. It targets the molecular fingerprinting of the viral nanostructures.
Right.
And amplifies amplifies the detection sensitivity via indirect detection of water relaxation versus direct particle detection, offering tremendous sensitivity advantages down.
I think you already said sensitivity, did you? Detection sensitivity via.
Yeah, but I guess here we're trying to explain why this is innovative, right?
Yeah, just go ahead, write whatever you want, and you know, make it somewhat redundant, and that'll be fine for them too.
Yeah, they'll criticize, so that's a good thing. They'll see that this stuff is not perfect. Detection offering tremendous sensitivity. Sensitivity advantages down to, I don't know, tens of particles per sample.
And then I would move that sentence on significance, just move that to the end. That should be at the end, don't you think?
Which sentence?
The use of this technology would be applicable to many existing and emerging viruses. I would put that, you know, like significance, you know, standard of care and saving human lives, that should be at the end.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Come on.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna delete that because then that